All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So, Call of Duty players that have kind of taken a look at XDefiant or have been playing XDefiant have been requesting, well, not all of them, but a decent amount of them have been requesting Killstreaks and XDefiant. And in this video, I'm going to explain why that is a bad idea, and I fully support XDefiant not, I repeat, not having kill streaks. And with that being said, for those of you guys that are new around here, I actually have a Call of Duty background. Technically speaking, I guess I'm an OG at this point because the first time I ever touched a Call of Duty game was 15 years ago with the original Modern Warfare 2. And then Black Ops 1 made me consistent. Black Ops 2 sealed the deal to the point to where I was playing the game nonstop. And the rest is history, right? Up until about 2018 with Black Ops 4. And then after that, I pretty much exited the Call of Duty scene for the most part. I kind of went back and played some of the other ones that I enjoyed, such as some Black Ops 4 and, of course, Call of Duty World War II, which actually I didn't enjoy in the beginning, but then I ended up falling in love with it later on. But anyway, with that being said, I'm actually very proud of the fact that I come from an era to where, you know, the OG Call of Duty was praised, so to speak, and brought the entire franchise into what it is, into what it ended up being. Now, stop me if you've heard this before. Let's say you're playing domination, right? And you find yourself able to flank correctly, you're able to get kills, you're able to open up B, and then you find yourself being the only one who is trying to take B or even flank all the way around to try to take C or whatnot. And you find yourself being the only one who's taking the objective, and either your teammates are not, or either they're not even trying, or they can't get there because they're getting killed and they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? So chances are you're experiencing a combination of both, and you who actually care for the win are actually trying to have your cake and eat it too, right? You're trying to have your kills and you're trying to cap your objectives, and at the same time you want to try to get streaks in order to keep the enemy team away from those capture points, so that way you can, you know, pretty much capitalize on getting the win. Well, doesn't it sound familiar to where you're trying to take the objective and then all of a sudden you get killed, and on top of that you can't get streaks? Does that sound familiar to you? I'm pretty sure anybody who's played Call of Duty before, especially if you played Domination or a Hardpoint or something like that, I'm pretty sure every single one of you have at least been in that situation once, if not quite frequently, right? And to some extent, maybe that's a reason why you might have stopped playing Domination in the first place, right? Well, newsflash for you. XDefiant not only rewards objective play, but it does it in a way that can not only help you out as a player to actually take an objective completely on your own, but what it also does, it allows for your teammates who also get abilities, right? Whether it's the Ultra or whether it's just the regular activated ability that kind of refreshes anywhere from, you know, a minute or so, give or take, depending on what it is, right? It gives them that ability to help you out if they're not able to get kills, right? Because let's say, let's say they're like reasonably close to where you are, and then all of a sudden they can't get to where you are because they're either going to get killed or they're not really good at getting kills, but they have their ability that they can use. Guess what? Let's say you're on B and you're the only one on B. Guess what? All of a sudden they activate their ability, whether it's the healing ability or whether it's the sonar ability that allows you to temporarily see enemies through walls so that way you can see where they're coming from, or they can throw down that shield in front of you to where you can fire through it and hit those guys and provide you with a little bit of temporary protection or whatnot. And what this does, it aids you. This aids you in not only capping the objective and increasing your chances to get to win, but it actually increases the fun factor. I gave Domination a shot before recording this commentary, and I have to say that playing the OBJ as well as doing my thing and trying to get as many kills as possible while the OBJ being a priority in order to get that win, it has been, I can tell you, Domination hasn't been this fun. It really hasn't. Obviously, Call of Duty, what they did was they invented the point streak system, which was a step in the right direction. And then Treyarch with Black Ops 2 after Modern Warfare 3 basically turned it into the score streak system, which was yet again another step in the right direction. And even though there were an increased amount of players that were playing the objective, you still had a very, very significant amount of people that were just sitting behind a head glitch or a safe space of some kind and just watching over the flags and just trying to get kills. Now, part of this is, to a certain degree, the YouTube community's fault, because back in the day, the Slayers basically used to just farm kills, get streaks, keep the players off of the objectives, while the noobs basically captured B, and that would be that, right? But ultimately, obviously, things have changed over time. And I like the fact that more people do care about the win, but when you look at a lot of Call of Duty players today, there's still a significant amount of them that have that same mentality that just never left. It's like, oh, I just want to farm kills and slay, and I don't care about the win, right? It's just a pub. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, what if I actually told you that it was twice as fun to be able to not only get the OBJ, right, but to also get your kills at the same time? And that is exactly what XDefiant offers. And if you actually were to add streaks into the mix, not only would things get overly chaotic, and XDefiant is already fast-paced as it is, believe it or not. It's actually, like, it's as fast as it can be without being too crazy chaotic, where you can actually control it when you learn how to. But the thing is, when you add in streaks, you're going to slow the pace down because people are going to basically camp for those streaks. It's a tale as old as time. Now, I know that XDefiant is an arena arcade shooter, so it's kind of a hybrid, so to speak. So it's designed around moving around because that's where the arena aspect comes from, whereas Call of Duty is just a pure arcade shooter. I have to say that if you were to add in a little bit of that DNA from Call of Duty into the game, like yet another piece of its DNA, because there's already a little bit of Call of Duty in this game, but if you were to add more of a percentage to that, then the next thing you know, people are not going to play the game like it's meant to be played, which is XDefiant. They're going to be playing COD instead. See, the thing is, if you go into XDefiant and if you go with a mindset like, oh, I'm going to play this like Call of Duty, so to speak, you may not get the win. Now, I know that there are plenty of you out there that are COD players that don't give a damn about the win. All you want to do is basically get as many kills as possible in a domination or an occupy, which is basically hardpoint, or even a hot shot. Hot shot is actually really fun because it adds another twist to a kill confirm mindset. But with that being said, domination is very, very interesting, or even an occupy is very, very interesting because of the fact that, like, you can use these ultras or even the regular abilities that you can activate. There's like 2 versions of every single one of them. Like, for instance, I was using the Libertad, which is the healer. Like, if I were playing Hot Shot, what I would do is I would just use the Biovita boost for myself, right? Just to heal myself. But if I'm playing Domination, I'm going to plant the healing mechanism on the ground to where a capture spot is to help myself as well as my allies heal while we're taking an objective. And of course, if I have the Ultra, and especially in the last ditch effort to where we can't cap B to save our lives on my team, and my team is just not able to cap B, I get on B myself when I see an opening, and after I cleared out a few guys, I only have a few seconds, I activate the Ultra. I'm capping it, and as you know, the Ultra for the healer, it takes an insane amount of bullets in order to kill somebody, right? So you're gonna have a massive amount of people shooting at you at the same time to take you out within a decent amount of time, right? But this gives you extra seconds to not only cap that objective, but to also aid your team, because it not only heals you, it heals your team as well. And at the same time, your teammates, if they're reasonably close by, like I said earlier, they can use their ability. It doesn't have to be their Ultra. It could just be one of their regular abilities. And what they can do is they can activate it in order to help you, whether it's to see where an enemy's coming from, or whether it's to provide additional aid of some kind, you know, whether it's in the form of a shield or whatever else it is, or maybe even to activate DeadSec or whatever. All these things are very, very valuable, and they make the game that much more fun to play. And everybody's moving around, and there's exciting gunfights that happen. And there's nothing like, imagine like getting, like, let's say there's 3 people on B, right? And you're getting in there, and you got your Ultra ready to go, and then you take out a couple of them, then bam, you activate your Ultra, and then you take out a couple more and take the objective. Now that is fun as hell. If you want to talk about a dopamine rush, I can tell you, as somebody who has, in the beginning in my Call of Duty career, so to speak, right, I played a lot of OBJ, but then after I learned to slay, it was like, okay, like I want to be a slayer. And then it was like, well, what if I could do both? And then it was never truly satisfying because of the problems that I admitted earlier. I was like the only one playing the OBJ, unless it was like kill confirmed or something, but which was a little bit different. But when you're talking about a domination, I stopped because I would find myself being the only one, and it wasn't, you know. So with this now, With this literally maximizes everything. And it really became clear as day, when as clear as it could possibly be, when I'm like, why in the world are they having this ability? This ability is too much, blah, blah, blah. And then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I'm thinking like a COD player. I need to start thinking like an XDefiant player, which is a little bit different because I'm not playing COD, I'm playing XDefiant. So the thing is, you cannot reach your maximum potential or your optimal potential in this game if you approach it with just a Call of Duty mentality. You have to have a mentality of, okay, I've got these abilities. This is XDefiant. It's not Call of Duty. There's no streaks. You know, people are moving around. The time to kill is different. Headshots matter more than they do in COD. Teamwork matters, et cetera, et cetera. The game rewards me differently. How do I take advantage of this and use what I've also learned in Call of Duty at the same time? And that's what XDefiant offers. That's where XDefiant's true strength really is. It really lies in that. And that's why they're also doing like, it seems like they're going to be doing different versions and variations of objective-based game modes. You know, you've got your traditionals, like a domination, for instance, right? That really hasn't changed in XDefiant. But if you have like additional variations of some of these different modes that will come out in the future, in the near future, in XDefiant, I think it's going to make it that much more fun to play. And we know a team deathmatch is coming because team deathmatch is, you know, the most popular game mode. And I've said this time and time again, there's just people that just don't want to play the OBJ. However, even though I still stand by that because there are people that just want to, you know, kill some shit and then be done with it, I will say that I wouldn't be surprised that if people still ended up gravitating towards the objective-based game modes because they just give you that much more dopamine because you're doing so many multiple things. I mean, you're still able to do the whole slang thing. And the thing is, let's put it this way. When you play Team Deathmatch, these abilities that we have in the game for XDefiant, they won't have the same level of impact as they would in an objective-based game mode. And this is coming from a person that, other than Kill Confirmed, I really haven't touched domination in a long-ass time. And nor did I care to. And I'm like, you know what, let me just try it or whatnot. Let me give this a shot. And then once I started like just going with it and just letting go of just the Call of Duty mentality and just playing XDefiant the way it's meant to be played, man, I got to tell you, it was a whole lot of fun. So PTFO is where it's at in this game. And you know what? The cool thing is you can choose. You can choose when to attack and when not to attack. You know, I'm not necessarily saying go in there and get on B and you could be the only one and then there's 5, you know, people on the enemy team on B and you can, you know, go in there by yourself. I'm not necessarily saying that. I mean, you have an increased chance of succeeding because of these abilities, but it's all about timing and when you use these abilities, right? You gotta kind of time it. You have to kind of strategize a little bit and think with your mind. And when you do that and you do it properly, let me tell you, man, it is 100% a hell of a dopamine rush. It doesn't quite, because even when you look at some of the streamers that are Call of Duty people, apart from the pros, even those guys are not playing the game quite like, you know, I think it's going to be very interesting when, you know, the XDefiant pro scene starts to really take off because you're going to be seeing some really cool objective-based gameplay. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see how other players take that and how they use it. So if you're a solo player, there's something here to be had about that. And your teammates, even if they're not good, and if they're not able to get kills, they can still assist you with getting that OBJ and assisting you with getting additional kills. Because ultimately what allows you to get the OBJ is not just standing on the OBJ, but to be able to keep other people away. So you need to get those kills. You need to be that slayer, right? However, for those that don't have that ability, guess what? They are able to assist and make an impact and at the same time get rewarded for it, you know? Like for instance, let's say I was, you know, the worst player in the world and let's say somebody who is able to get on B is getting on B, right? But let's just say I know I can't get on B because if I go this way, I'm going to get caught off by somebody, right? And my gun skill sucks, so I can't counter it, right? And I can't risk it. But I am close enough to where I could toss my ability on B to where I can assist that player get the objective. And at the same time, points will go off and I'll get rewarded for it. Need I say more? However, I will say this though. I do believe that there needs to be some sort of reward that aren't kill streaks for streaks. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is like, obviously things like medals, I think that's something that they should put in there. I think a medal would do very, very well. And I think something that is different but maybe not be a nuke, or maybe it should be a nuke, to where if somebody goes on a 25 or a 30 gun streak in the game, can set off some sort of thing, just something that that basically, like, for a certain period of time, just makes it really, really, really difficult for the other people on the other team to get the objective, like the ultimate, ability move that disables everything. Or maybe they can make it to where it's kind of like almost like how Specialist was in what's it called, in Modern Warfare 3, the original Modern Warfare 3. You know how you get a Specialist bonus if you get a certain number of kills, right? Which would be 8 in a row, right? To where you unlock all the perks. What if there was something to where you could kind of be like a chameleon, to where you can actually have, like, additional abilities to your own if you have a certain gun streak, like a 10 gun streak or something, like not a 10, excuse me, but like, let's say you get a 25, right? All of a sudden you can become this super soldier. Obviously 25 kills would be too much probably, but at the same time, when you already have all these abilities and so are your teammates, well, let's just say that if you at 25 kills, gun kills, you end up being this, super duper soldier or whatever, I think it's something, right? I don't see why not. I mean, even if you look at single player games, I mean, nobody really complained when, like in a Sonic the Hedgehog game, when you could turn into like Super Sonic or Golden Sonic or whatever, right? I don't think anybody complained about that. So just to give you like an analogy, just an example, and I know it's a completely different genre, but there are definitely ways that you can reward players, whether it's in a gameplay sense, not necessarily pertaining to kill streaks, but there are different ways to where how you can possibly reward players while keeping the gameplay balanced, and obviously things like medals are very, very simple, obviously, and of course some additional ways, but I wholeheartedly believe that kill streaks do not belong in XDefiant, because in terms of its foundation, it's fine the way it is, and XDefiant actually needs to keep its foundation in order to keep moving forward. XDefiant has no place being a Call of Duty clone. Remember, we've always said it's a Call of Duty alternative, right? It's a different game, and that's the best way to describe it. It really is different. So it needs to embrace what it is, and it needs to not repeat the mistake that Call of Duty has done in terms of trying to figure out what it is, because Call of Duty has gone in every single direction, and at best, you had temporary success, and then later on it became stale very quickly. So what I'm trying to say is XDefiant needs to move forward with what it is and let it evolve naturally from its own foundation, as opposed to trying to be something that it's not. Because if it starts going in that direction, then we're going to have something that, we're going to have an end result that is no different than what happened to COD. And that doesn't need to be with XDefiant, because XDefiant is its own thing. So let the game be its own thing. Let the game grow naturally. Let it be what it is. But anyway, with that being said, guys, I think I went a little bit of overtime, but I've got plenty of gameplay to show anyway. But I just wanted to basically just describe this, and I can tell you wholeheartedly that try out Domination. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have, but like, it is fun as hell when you use the abilities properly in the game. And on top of that, if you have like at least one or two teammates that kind of have an idea what they're doing, because you guys know, because there's always going to be teammates on your team that are not going to have the slightest clue, right? But even then, they have the ability to do something, because again, when you play these objective-based game modes, it's like it just gives you that much of a rush when you cap it, and then you be your Slayer, and then you keep those objectives, or you manage to flank, you take out one or two guys, you pop your ability, you take the other two out, you cap that flag, and you get the win. That is the ultimate way to play. And it is that much more satisfying. It gives you that much more dopamine. And it's what separates XDefiant from some of these other shooters, because of the way it rewards the player. But anyway, guys, with that being said, let me know down in the comment section what you think, and down below, of course. And of course, you guys are more than welcome to give me some ideas of your own in terms of what you guys can think in terms of rewarding the player. And again, not necessarily pertaining to score streaks or kill streaks or whatnot, that would reward camping or something like that, or cause people to camp, but something different, maybe it should be something based off of points. Like if somebody were to manage to get like, I don't know, let's say 8,000 points in a domination, which is quite a lot. you know, to where, you know, they kind of unlock an extra ability or something like that that can help give them a boost or something like that. Or just turn themselves into a super soldier in a different way or something like that. Maybe they can become like a hot shot at the same time, you know, if they, you know, get a certain amount of points. I don't know. Just saying, until they die at least, and they can kind of go on a tear. I don't know. These are just things I'm thinking of. But as far as cosmetically speaking, you can always get rewarded that way. You can get rewarded by having a special camo, by having the medals, you know, things like that. The sky's the limit. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got to say for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you all for taking the time to watch and or listen. I'll catch you guys on the next one.